I see a lot of jealous husbands. They're jealous of the woman's success
Ash.
because of they're having their own struggles. And instead of actually using their intellectual energy and whatever else that they've got to collaborate with their wives, they compete.
You can't speak to your wife like a client. You can't speak to your kids like they're employees. You can't. We're not trying to promote the soft guy era, but we're also not trying to promote the tyrants.
That is the dangerous man that you got to deal with, is the one that you are constantly suppressing when you're afraid of the consequences. Because when you are in power, my friend, the real you is going to come
It's
out.
gonna come out.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband podcast with me, Black Newborn. Here we are husbands who aren't where we want to be, but certainly are not where we used to be. We are imperfect, always failing forward, trying to know better so that we can do better.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband podcast with me, Black Newborn. This is where husbands try to know better so that we can do better. Before we get into this episode, we want to thank everybody who's been supporting us. But if you are new, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're updated on every single episode that we drop every Wednesday at 11:30. To those who've been supporting us, we want to thank you so much. If you're wondering how you can do that, man, it's two ways. One, you can click on the link in the comment section and you can buy us coffee. Man, we have these amazing, beautiful coffee cups because we love coffee here, and we are energized through coffee to continue making more of this content. So you can buy us as many coffees as your heart desires, and that's a way you can support us. The second way you can support us is by booking me as a speaker and MC for your next event, and that's at booking@blacknewborn.com. That's booking@blacknewborn.com. Before we introduce the husband that's sitting across the table from me, man, we have a special thing that's happening in today's podcast. If you want to find out how we and Momentum want to give you 5,000 Rand, I said it right? 5,000 Rand. Stick around till the end of this episode and we will give you the instructions of how you can get 5 G's, mahala, from That Husband podcast and Momentum, right? The husband that's sitting across the table from me today is none other than a man who needs no introduction. My man, my mentor, my brother. Ladies and gentlemen, he's coming to Beans and Bonds on the 29th of March. Help me welcome Jabu Zwane.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Brother.
Thanks for having me again, man. Good to see you.
Good to you, man.
Yeah.
Good to you, brother. You part of the furniture now.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Every person I see who like gives us props for the podcast, your name comes up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
We thank the Jesus. You thank
Come
the
on.
Lord, man. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, it's good. How you been?
I'm good, man. I've been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been busy,
Yeah.
being a husband,
Yeah.
being a father,
Yeah.
being a member of the community, trying to be as responsible as I possibly can be.
Yeah. Speaker, author, podcaster now.
Check it out. I mean, the podcasting thing, of course, was inspired and very much sealed when I came here. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
gotta do the podcast thing.
That's
and,
good, man.
Since then, the last time, wrote 2 books.
Yeah.
Published 2 books.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
That's dope, man. How's the podcast going?
It's going well. I'm still very much having a monologue at the moment.
Yeah.
Talking to the audience all by myself.
Yeah.
Lining up to have you.
Sure.
Lining up to have you. I'll be definitely in charge and say, time to return the favor, brother.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on now. Now I'm ready. Whenever.
Yeah. No, it's going well.
Yeah. That's good, man. And hopefully we'll get into some of the books.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm pretty keen for us to chat a bit about your latest one. I've mentioned it here. I think on a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
So it would be cool to just pick some themes from that book and unpack them in today's episode.
Oh, super. Super.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. We actually were having a chat before we started rolling cameras.
Yeah.
About a conversation today. So I'm pretty stoked for that. But we are continuing with the resource behind me. So in season 1, we finishing off that ebook where we wanted to give to young men and guys husbands who are walking alone, to encourage them that there are husbands who are out there showing up, really taking their called to be husbands seriously.
Yeah.
And so in season 1, we asked our guests, you were one of them, to give us 2 names of husbands who either inspired you to get married or stay married. In season 2, we have a different question.
Yeah.
So we're asking our guests to define what a husband is. So in your many years of experience and the wisdom that you possess, what would you define a husband as?
I mean, I think the first thing is that a husband is a custodian of love and truth, you know, in the family setting.
Yeah.
As the head.
Yeah.
And by the way, the head is not important than the body, but as the head, truth and love are crucial.
Yeah.
Truth because it is your highest level of accountability. I find that when a person values truth, it's easy for them to be honest.
Yeah.
It's easy for them to be transparent. It's easy for them to be dependable, to be reliable, to be faithful, to be loyal. It's easy for them to be accountable because they don't just prioritize their own reality and their own needs and their own feelings, but they measure that against what is objectively true.
Yep.
All right. Just because I'm feeling hurt doesn't mean that I should actually be hurt. Sometimes I'm hurt because I decided to put my hand on the stove.
Yeah.
So it's not that anything is wrong. Maybe I wasn't as cautious as I needed to be.
Sure.
Sometimes I just didn't know whatever is there, and I bump into it and I get hurt. Right. It's about the acknowledgement of my own limitation as a husband.
Sure.
And of course, I think a husband has got to have a very strong awareness that God felt that a man needed to have a compatible helper, which means that God saw the limitations that a man has.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like a man was perfect. Man was not perfect. God looked at him and said, listen, dude, you kind of need a bit of help here, you know? And being able to understand that it's important that you create the right environment for that help to be received and to be, in a way, you know, facilitated within the marriage confinements. I think is very, very important.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what it means to be a husband. Is that love and truth are crucial.
Sure.
You know, and then the other thing about it, I think that makes that for me, husband is willingness, willingness to love, willingness to be truthful.
Sure.
All the time. Like, I say this quite a lot. The moment that I see a lack of willingness, when somebody says I'm not willing, when I'm hearing in a conversation, in a counseling session, when I hear a lot of I'm not willing to do, I don't want to do, then I know that marriage is in serious trouble.
Yeah.
That marriage is in serious trouble. And I see that most of the time, the lack of unwillingness is normally a lack of love, not willing to love anymore, or maybe some truth that has been twisted.
Yeah.
When somebody no longer sees the right way, and then their way is the only thing that they see, and their desires are the only thing that they're prioritizing. You know, they're so much self-preservation and self that takes away from that willingness. Willingness to be truthful, willingness to say, you know what, I'm tired. I'm having a difficulty being loving and caring anymore. And then I need help. Willingness to get that help and willingness to receive that help. It's one thing to get the help.
Sure.
The question is, are you going to apply the help that you received? You know, it's one thing to get this beautiful husband cup, coffee.
Come on now.
But it's one thing to use it and not to use it. Like, you know, you're still going around with your enamel mug. You're putting that in the car, driving and spilling all over the car. No. You know,
this is zero spillage, by the way.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it always makes me think about that whole thing that, you know what, I mean, a gift is only as good as not only the receiver, but how the receiver uses it. Otherwise, it's useless. And our wives are gifts. The question is that how do we receive help from them, right? And what environment do we create for them as our helpers? You know, and that is solely on you.
Yeah. And more husbands need to hear that.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility
It's your
to
responsibility.
create that
I
environment.
mean, you initiated, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you went up to her and said, "Hey,
You called her to something.
do you know what I'm saying?"
Yeah.
So it's it's very important for you to call her into something and then to realize that you're responsible, right? Can I say something controversial?
Yeah, we hear.
Husbands don't ask what she brings on the table.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, husbands don't ask.
You shouldn't.
You know, you shouldn't.
Yes.
You should have a table, and then you should know who you want on the
On
table.
the table.
You must know what you're calling her onto.
Yeah.
So you can't now go to a person and say, "What are you bringing on the table?"
Sure.
The question is, do you even have
A
one?
table.
What's on your table
Yeah.
that you want me to come and sit with you
Yeah.
and enjoy. What is it? What's on your table? What do you want me at your table for?
For.
You know, and then I can decide if I want to be at your table or not. You don't now bring me and then there's like, okay, let's build a table together. You know, like what are you going to put on that table?
Sure.
So I think for me, that's what a husband is.
That's good, man.
You know, if you're using that new language, a husband has a table and knows who they want on the table.
Come on, man.
And for what purpose.
Yeah.
They don't ask, what do you bring to the table?
Yeah.
They see something that a person has that they want on their table.
On that table, man.
And they say, yep, I want that person on my table, and that's what I want on my table.
Yeah. And we need to clarify that analogy of the table, you know, and before we clarify that, you know, just to probably paddle back on some stuff that you said, you know, the first time God says something is not good is when he looks at Adam and he sees that Adam doesn't have a helper.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
That's the first negative sentence that came out of God. God's mouth.
So he looks at everything else and he says everything else is good. So the first time is like, well, it's not good because this dude has limitations. It's not good that he should be alone because, and he's going to make a disaster of himself. He's going to make a disaster of things.
Yeah.
He needs a suitable helper. And so I think it's worthwhile to just even double tap on that, you know, to say that it's just illogical for a man to think that he can just do stuff on his own, do life on his own, you know, continue maintaining the table on his own.
Yeah.
He needs a suitable helper. And I think to your point, once you recognize that of yourself as a man, then man, you're clearly fighting other mindsets. You're fighting other sets of beliefs that you have if you don't receive that help and if you don't utilize that help. You know? There's nothing wrong with your wife. There's nothing wrong with her showing up in her role and offering the help. It's that you just did not believe that you are limited. You don't believe that you actually do need the help that she is giving. You know what I mean? And that's stuff that men need to work out of themselves.
Yeah.
And deal with that at a very introspective level. You know, so because women are, man, they're such a great gift to us.
Yeah.
But going back to clarifying the analogy of the table, somebody can hear this and think, okay, so does this mean that I need to, you know, have a house, have a car, have a job, have everything figured out? Is that what the table is? You know?
Yeah.
Or at least in my thinking, and you can tell me, my thinking is, even if you don't have the material things, this environment that you're calling a woman to, but man, at least at a very, very fundamental level, you know where this table is going to be. If we talk of it materially.
Yeah, vision.
But you have a vision. At least you're calling her to that. That's the first basis of this table.
Yeah.
You have a vision. You know where you want to take her to. You know where you've been called to. And those things are clarified in your mind. They might not be very nuanced that you're sitting there with details to say, in 2 months' time, this is where we're going. But man, overall, you're not going to be caught off guard by life. Right? Life can happen, but at least you have a clear vision of where you're calling this woman to. She was going somewhere on her own. And you said, stop what you're doing, come join me so that we could build this thing together.
Yeah.
So clarification, am I getting you right?
Yeah.
Is the table materially, is it a vision? Is it something else?
That's a very good question. And I think, yes, absolutely right. It needs clarification.
Yeah.
I believe, and I teach this always,
Yeah.
because I was taught this,
Sure.
that at the very least, as a man, you got to have a vision. That's
Yeah.
the least you must have.
Yeah.
And a vision is, if you were to imagine what your life looks like in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years,
Yes.
what is that?
Sure.
All right. What's that? Where are you going?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to build a house. I want to have 2 children. I want to, impact the world in this way. This is you on your own now, talking about your vision. When you look for a helpmate, like as God says, this good thing, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. By the way, it doesn't say who finds a husband finds a okay, guys. Okay, fine. Okay, let me bring it back.
she who finds a wife finds a husband finds trouble.
Okay, just joking. Joking, guys. Come on. Like, what does your life? What do you imagine that life to be?
Sure.
Because it's going to be the greatest source of frustration for a woman to walk into that kind of setting, and dude doesn't know where he's going.
Sure.
Unfortunately, this is the mistake that I see most men make, and I think I probably made that myself when I started out. Was that you see somebody who you like, they look amazing, they got just everything placed in the right places for you, know, and then you're like, I want to have that woman. But for what purpose? Is it for my own ego?
Yeah.
Is it for the guys to say, oh man, wow.
You have one there.
You have one right there. You're the man, Like, why am I approaching her? Am I approaching her to add to her life? What is it I'm going to be adding to her life? If there's something that she has, what is that one thing that I want her to add to me? Can you be able to know that without a vision?
No.
Can you be able to know?
No.
I mean, the least you can have, maybe the best you can have is a bit of lust.
Sure.
Sure. The worst of it is literally that you're going to use her.
Yeah.
You're going to use her for your own desires.
Yeah.
Because you have no vision.
Yeah.
If you have no plan, you have no vision, then you're just living literally instinctively, you're in a very basic animalistic state.
Sure.
Like animals wake up in the morning. The only thing that they know is that I need to eat.
Yeah.
I need to be safe.
Yep.
I don't get killed. I need to eat. If that means eating something, I'll go find and eat that thing. In that process, nothing bad should happen to me.
Sure.
And I think that a visionless man is a man that really reduces himself to very basic animalistic instincts.
Yeah.
But the moment we have a vision, because God has given us that intellectual ability,
yeah,
and you say, I want to go there, I want to go there, then you know,
good,
if you're going somewhere,
it's good.
You're not going to be chasing after a gold digger.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, that's what you want. You just want somebody who will make you feel good, and then you give them your money, and that's it. That's the only arrangement that you've got. But at least then everybody knows that that's the arrangement, right?
Sure.
But even if you're a young guy starting out, you don't have to have millions of rands in your account. The biggest capital you've got is your mind.
Your mind, man.
And then what makes that mind currency is the vision. Like the moment you put your mind to a vision and say, this is what I want to churn out in the next 3, 4, 5 years, then that's the wealth that you as a man possess.
Sure.
You take that and then you with the sweat of your brow, with your help, with your fun, then you go and you go and tilt the land, and you let it cultivate for you meat, to eat and food to eat, and then you say, hey, are you willing to come and journey with me?
Yes.
In this process.
Come on, man.
All right. The mistake for me is you having that vision, and then you like her physically, and then you say, come and be with me. But he says to you, listen, I get it, but I also have my own vision.
Yep.
I'm a career woman.
Yep.
I want to have my own dough.
Yep.
I want to be able to help you. But at the same time, I also do need the freedom to be able to help myself in case things don't work out. And then you're like, no, but I don't want you to do all of that.
Yeah.
If you're saying yes to me,
you
must stop, stop the whole career thing, because I'll take care of you. And then tomorrow, something bad happens to you, you can't take care of her, and then you're angry that she's having trouble staying with you.
Yeah.
Now that you're failing to fulfill the promise, right?
Yeah.
So you got to decide as a man. If you decided to get a career, if you decided to get a traditional woman, understand the responsibilities that come
They come. Yeah.
with being a traditional man.
Yeah.
Understand that this is the regime that I'm walking into, and I'm going to provide everything for her. If she says yes to that, understand the responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you are deciding to go after a career woman, understand what it means to be with her.
Yeah.
That at the table, she's going to want to put her stuff.
Yes. Because she's going to come with stuff.
She's going to come with stuff. And our South African women, they do. The South African women, they've got their careers, man.
Yeah.
They've got their brilliant. I mean, they're doing great and amazing things.
Amazing things, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And they're like, yeah, let's put. Bring your 10 rand, I bring my 10 rand together. Then let's make it happen.
Yeah.
But then let's negotiate. Let's collaborate. Let's talk about it.
Sure.
If that's not the kind of woman that you want, then leave her alone.
Yeah. Yeah. 100.
Let the man that is willing to take on that woman do it. But don't bring it in and then want to try to suppress her. Right? So if you know that on your table, you only want what you already have on the table and you don't want anybody else to have a say, don't invite your career woman to your table.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's going to become a problem.
Yeah, it's going to be an issue.
You know?
Yeah.
And then if you've got all of that and then you want to bring a traditional woman onto that table, just make it very clear. It must be a bit clear on you that you are responsible for constantly putting things on the table.
Sure.
And all she comes and takes is takes away.
She orders the table.
She arranges it and then she takes whatever the case might be.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
So what I'm saying about the table is the table really is about what is your idea of what marriage is.
Yeah.
And then do you have a vision for that?
Yeah.
And then where does she fit into the vision?
Sure. Yeah.
And understand your level of responsibility as far as the vision that you've got as a man and what you bring her into, and make sure that she's compatible.
Yeah.
Don't get somebody who's not compatible and then when you want to bash her down, you're calling her, disrespectful, and then you're calling her masculine. She's masculine. She was masculine before you met her.
You should have spoken about this stuff long
before.
Yeah.
And she was productive before you came into the picture.
Yeah.
She was already doing the thing before you came into the picture. Now you've got a problem with the fact that she wants to negotiate.
Sure.
She wants to collaborate. She wants to partner. She wants us to compare notes. And she doesn't just easily say, yeah, Boba.
Yeah, Boba. Yeah.
And now you got a problem with that now.
Sure. Yeah. That's good. We're gonna unpack a lot of that because that's actually the crux of our conversation for today. I see a lot of marriage seminars. I see a lot of, marriage enrichment courses, a lot of, how do we repair marriages? People speak about conflict and marriage, et cetera, But the thing that I've been interested in quite a lot since I started this podcast is exactly what we're chatting about now. How do we help couples formulate a dream together? So as the husband comes with the vision of what this marriage is going to look like, where he wants this family to go to. One, for me, having to fully recognize that you're getting somebody who also has ambitions, who also has dreams, who also has her own goals, and coming together, one, saying that we're not crushing anybody's dream, but we're going to try and collaborate on what these dreams are that we both have individually so that we can come up with a meta dream and a grand dream for us as a couple. Because as the man, if I am a custodian of my wife's dreams, I'm a custodian of our dream as a family, I need to be clear on what that is, and therefore I need to steward that and champion that. And therefore, that thing is going to be the guiding principle to see how my wife's individual goals, my own individual goals, how they become catalysts to achieve this one big matter, grand dream. Yeah. And if one of these things at an individual level don't fit that, we adjust at that individual level. Hey, I say to my wife, so now you want to, I don't know, be a CA for this mega corporate or whatever the case is. So what's our big matter goal and dream as a couple. We figured it out by sitting down, comparing notes, saying this is your passion, my passion, this is where I see myself in 10 years, this is where I see myself. And then we came to this one sweet spot where we both agree. Sometimes it would mean that if one of us has an individual path and it doesn't align with this, we adjust it or we chuck it out.
Yeah.
Because we've agreed that this is the one big goal that we going to. And I think a lot of couples kind of lose themselves and lose their marriage because they just haven't figured out this thing. And so at an individual level, they bucking up against each other, but they just haven't clarified if we are the Zwanes, what is the Zwanes dreams? The Zwanes dream, rather, the Zwanes vision, the Zwanes goal. And whatever Jabu brings and whatever Betty brings, man, this stuff has to speak to what the Zwanes are. And we said we're going to show up as the Zwanes in the world. And sometimes it would mean, Jabu, you probably have to give up parts of what you thought your dream is going to look like.
Yeah.
Maybe your wife also has to do that at some level, right? Because I think all of this other stuff that happens, conflict, financial issues, sexual issues, I think they can be resolved if we clarify what this big matter grand dream, goal, plan for us is. And we always using that to some extent as our true north, to always guide us. So, hey man, it's been 6 months. We're looking at our finances. What are we weighing them against? We're not just weighing them against how you feel. So you feel happy about our finances. I feel sad. Okay, what determines that? So again, to your point of our relationship with truth, we need to appeal to what objective truth is. And we can only determine what objective truth is in light of our dreams if we've determined what the big goal is for us, what the big dream is. So then we comparing, how our feelings, our finances, where our sex life is, we're comparing it to this, and not just us as individuals, So our conversation is going to be that today. We're just going to try and unpack that. But I've been passionate about that, man. Even as I sit here and I think about season 1 of this podcast, even into season 2. In fact, those were some of our biggest episodes. So I remember speaking with Solo about him being the custodian of his wife's dreams. He was the first dude on this podcast to use that language, that he's a custodian of his wife's dreams. I think Pastor Koketso spoke about, just the balance between being an A-type leader and not running the risk of being a narcissist and crushing his wife's dreams, and I think it was Temba who spoke about our marriages not being graveyards for our wife's dreams.
Yes. That's that.
Yeah.
No, this
yeah. And I'm like, man, so all that stuff has come up, and it's just again been a reinforcement for me to say that's one thing I just want to press into and kind of look at. I'm like, man, I'm tempted to just even sit down and write a book on that subject. How do I help husbands particularly to run their marriages by trying to set up this big grand dream and vision and goal, by using their individual dreams and goals as a couple and coming together, assessing, comparing notes, and then formulating this one thing, right? So anyway, that's where we at. That's where we at. I think let's start here. We're reading, and I sent you that report by Momentum,
yeah.
And they did a report on what they're calling the Success Women Want 2025 report, and part of that report says that 7% of South African women strongly believe that men enable their success. So only 7%. That means 93% of South African women don't believe that men enable their success. Even when I read that stat, I was like, man, I know some women might find the word enabling problematic. Who are you as a man to say that you enable my success? But I'm like, in the marriage context, even in the business context, which we'll speak about, that's what we've been doing the past couple of minutes now, saying that a husband who's unaware of his authority might not enable his wife, might disable his
Disable
wife,
her, yeah.
right? Because he's unaware that he's a custodian. But then on the other flip side, there's men who are aware and are intentionally abusing and disabling their wives intentionally so that they don't succeed,
Yes.
right? So how could you speak into that? What kind of mindsets do husbands need to have, or even business leaders who are men? How can they help women, kind of change that perception, change that? How do we change that stat? How do we get the other 97% of women in South Africa to believe that man can enable them in achieving success and achieving their dreams? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think the first part, is objective truth, which is again mindsets for me.
Yeah.
The objective truth is this: we are in a world where where there's a concerted effort to equalize, from the government perspective, from the business perspective, from the academic perspective, from the spiritual perspective. Many of us within the spiritual realm realize that there may have been some misunderstandings of what it meant that Eve was Adam's helper. That she's not there to serve him.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
But as a matter of fact, Adam is very much responsible to ensure that the environment is safe for her, to help her, and so that she can be able to live in fully who she is.
Yeah.
And in the same way, Adam also has to help. She has to help him as much as he has to help her. So
Sure.
it's a relationship of collaboration more than it is a relationship so much of teamwork. And a collaboration is equality.
Sure.
Teamwork I find sometimes is very much hierarchical.
Yeah.
And I think most of the time people have the hierarchical aspect of marriage, thinking that because the God says I'm the head, it means that I'm superior.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that. Like, chop the head off. Let's see how that works out.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
let's just do that right now.
Sure.
Let's just make it happen right now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And by the way, remember that there was that movie, something about the Greek wedding, back in the day.
What is it again? My big fat
Greek wedding.
Yeah.
And then this couple, the older Greek couple, and they say to her, "But the husband is the head."
Yeah.
And she's like, "But I am the neck."
Yeah. Sure.
Like that head goes nowhere
without the body, man.
without the neck.
Yeah.
The neck is the one that actually helps with the direction.
Sure.
Right? To
Sure.
see and to be able to move the horse. Like all of those things work together. So there is an equalizing that's happening.
Yeah.
And so because there is equalizing, we have to then revisit some of the concepts that are not unhelpful to a more equal society. And the unhelpful concept is this whole idea that you are solely responsible to protect, provide, and what's the other word? All of the responsibility.
Perform.
Yeah, perform, protect, all of those things, like as a man. Like that's all your responsibility. In a world where your wife can have an executive job and then you are just a junior manager.
Yep.
There's an adjustment of the mindset that needs to happen.
That needs to happen, sure.
As far as realizing that part of my enabling my wife is that if my wife is able to succeed far better than I am, hey, as a family and as the head of the house and as the leader of the house, let's take all of our resources and let's channel them in that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll give you a simple example. I've been married twice.
Sure.
My first marriage, my first wife passed away, so everybody knows. In my first marriage, we started off young.
Yeah.
Married at 26. Had a great time. We got our first child in 2007. And then we bought houses and all of that. But 2010, I felt that God was calling me into full-time ministry. Right? At the time, I'm a sales manager. I've just finished some degree, some business empowerment thing at Gibbs. And I'm set to become a GM, making decent amount of money. My wife also is progressing on this side. And we sit down and say, listen, dude, I'm called a full-time minister. What do you say? Her being her, she's like, yeah, let's do it. We started off, we had that vision in the very beginning.
Sure.
Right? Talk about the vision earlier.
Yeah.
When we were having counseling, we discussed that.
Nice.
She was aware of the fact that at some point I might be called into full-time ministry.
Sure.
And then we may have to have a situation where, as far as the financial and economic aspect of things, she would be the one that is running.
Yeah.
Right? We agree. And then we get into that. I help my wife with the studying. I always was very conscious to say, how are you doing?
Sure.
One of the things that I used to do as a man in a household, it would actually say when she gets a bonus, from the bonus money, is there anything that you personally want?
Sure.
Like, it doesn't have to anything to do with the kids.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you want with the money that you have worked hard for?
Sure.
So she had a lot of say as far as even the cars, and she was for, even the kids, in terms of where the kids are gonna want to go to school.
Sure.
And we'll sit down and with the budget. And then we went, and her voice was very important
Yes.
to some of those decisions.
Yes.
Because again, it's an honor. It's honoring the fact that she is contributing.
Yeah.
But also for me as the head of the household, it's understanding that when we get acknowledged for our work, we get motivated.
Yep.
It's human nature. If you are attacking me for my contribution and you're feeling like, oh, you're trying to make me feel like I'm less because you're bringing in the money. Why do you see it that way?
Yeah.
Why do you see her making more money than you as an attack on you, on your masculinity?
Sure.
Why?
Yeah.
Why can it not be, oh my goodness, guys, that's mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's she is kicking it at work. She's killing it at work, man.
Yeah.
She is speaking some serious English there.
Exactly. It's what you were saying earlier on, that her making more money as your helper, she's helping the family.
Yeah.
So why do you find it hard in and of yourself as a man? Where are the insecurities? Where do they lie that you don't see your wife making more money as help to the family? Her success is our success.
Yeah.
Right? So where is the mirror cracking for you as a man?
Exactly.
Yeah. Sure.
And the things that could also be in the case of, not my case, it could be in a case where you're not earning as much and she's earning more money.
Sure.
And the reality of the matter is that in this day and age, the likelihood of her earning more money than is very, very high. It's very, very, very high.
Sure.
So you need to make peace with that, and you need to adjust to that, and ask yourself, okay, what is the best way of my intellectual ability, use of my intellectual ability as a husband, of my spiritual authority as a husband, of whatever aspects of your role as husband? What is the best use? How can you best use that to ensure that her ability to succeed better than you materially becomes something that we can all be able to celebrate and enjoy in the family? And not perceive that as a negative thing.
Sure.
Right? It's not to perceive that as something that attacks your masculinity. On my second marriage, on the other hand, I stopped. I was no longer full-time pastor, and now I'm an entrepreneur.
Sure.
And she's working stable. She's got a stable income. I'm an entrepreneur. Similar situation. Today, this month, I'm bringing it. Entrepreneur. The mullah, she's coming. The next month, the money, she's like, okay, nompile guy.
Who is Jabu?
Yeah, who are you? You entrepreneur who?
Oh, Lord.
And then, but in the meantime though, of my hustling and struggling,
Sure.
she's holding the fort.
Yep.
And then, and my thing would always be, okay, she's holding the fort, and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm the one that is normally at home most of the time.
Yes.
If I'm not going out to see clients, I don't have a problem doing what you call your domestic duties.
Sure.
Doing all of it, because I understand that, again, it's about collaboration.
Yeah.
And collaboration is, we all have to leverage each other's strengths.
Come on, man.
Everybody must operate in their strengths.
Yeah.
Whether it's be the inherent talents and gifts that that God has given to you, or even the geographical setting or the material setting, whatever it is that is your leverage.
Yeah.
We all have to figure out a way to make it work.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I shouldn't now be waiting for her to come back and cook for me because I'm the man and she's supposed to cook for me.
Sure. Sure.
Thankfully, I like to cook. But let's say that you don't like to cook.
Yeah.
It might not be a bad idea for you to learn as a way of, again, using your best resources, which is your energy, your time that you've got available, to contribute towards the family.
Yeah.
What that does in turn is that, does it make her become more motivated? It should. It's one thing if she's got her own issues that she's got to deal with. Yeah. Let's assume that she's a Proverbs 31 woman. Okay, this is only for the Proverbs 31 women. For you lot out there that weaponize your money against your husbands, this is not for you. It is for you to repent.
Come on now.
In the name of Jesus. Get it?
That's funny.
Let's assume this is a
Yeah.
Proverbs 31 woman.
Sure.
A Proverbs 31 woman is going to appreciate the fact that you are helping her.
Yeah.
It's going to
Sure.
help.
It's good, man.
It's going to actually, even though she's operating in her masculine at work, which is the productivity aspects, by the way.
Yeah.
Masculinity.
Yes.
It's got very little to do with,
Yes.
I'm the man,
Yes.
I'm muscular,
Yes.
but it's
Yes.
got to do with the productive energy.
Sure.
She's operating in her productivity at work and she's killing it. The more motivated she is from home, she gets out there, man, she's a lioness. She's
Sure.
tearing.
Sure.
She's tearing into that meat.
Yeah.
And she comes in with the biggest chunk,
Sure.
at home.
Yeah.
And then that's part of her motivation.
Yeah.
And she feels appreciated. She feels, when the moment she feels appreciated, she feels feminine. And when she feels feminine, boss, you're going to get the feminine goodies.
Come on now.
Yeah, you're going to make it. You're going to get it. You get it.
It's all interlinked.
It's all interlinked, Now, but when you're pressing her, she's depressed.
Sure.
And then I don't know much about the biology of women, but I do know that even as a man, when you're stressed out, you're not even interested yourself in the bedroom. You're not interested in all the softy things. Much more even for women because of the estrogen and other.
Sure.
That's so crucial.
Sure.
And I've seen it, like with my wife.
Yeah.
When I do those little things. When I do remember to buy them flowers.
Yeah. and you cook.
And I cook. And I get her favorite thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of Proverbs 31 women, by the way, are not super expensive.
No,
They're very simple.
Yeah, sure.
She wants a little chocolate.
Sure.
She likes them little 3 rochers. And I get the 3 rochers. Like, don't bring me the whole thing because you're going to make me fat.
Yeah.
So I bring a little 3 rochers. She takes that and I'll make her tea and she has that.
Sure.
And man, let me tell you.
That's good.
In the Zwane household,
That's good.
Gumnandi.
Ah.
The kids are happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah,
She's happy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah.
So the mindset is a problem.
Sure.
Is that for me, I think there is a need for us as men to say, what is it that we're not doing to go through this evolution? Why is it that so many of us actually not only feeling left behind, but actually we are getting behind?
We are getting behind, man. Sure.
We're getting behind.
Sure.
Economically, we're getting behind.
Yeah.
We're falling behind.
Sure.
Academically, we're falling behind. If you're looking at the stats at the universities, you're looking at the young boys,
Sure.
falling behind.
Yeah.
Health-wise, we are falling behind.
Sure.
Like our women are getting much more and more healthier. We're getting more and more unhealthy as men.
Sure.
In terms of our communities, we are falling behind. We're falling behind on so many things. And the biggest thing that I see is that so many of us are unhappy with her success.
Yeah.
We're unhappy with her and we attack it and we see it as a problem. And I would even say much more so within our Black community.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you go online, it's sad to see that so many of our Black women see their financial independence as liberation.
It's a way out.
It's a way out.
Sure.
And the things that we're going to complain about, is feminine. But let's think about it.
Sure.
Did they not see our fathers use their economic leverage as a way of oppressing their mothers?
Yep.
Did we not all see that together? Were
Sure.
we not all there watching that happen?
Yeah.
Where our fathers had sidekicks,
Sure.
and then some of them were getting kicked out, and then they would just give a little bit of money and not be fully there. Did they not see that?
I saw that, man.
Of course, they saw that. Of course, we can talk about apartheid and all of that. Yes, it is true. All of those factors are true. It still does not take away from what they saw and what they observed.
And the responsibility that men were supposed to have.
Exactly.
And not only just stewarding their finances, but stewarding their finances in front of these little girls who are going to grow up and become women one day.
Exactly.
Man.
And now they're seeing you as you having more than them as a potential of them being disadvantaged.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're not proving them wrong.
Sure. Sure.
You are not proving them wrong by the way that you're reacting
Yeah.
to her success.
Sure.
The way that you're thinking that, she should still push you up. Or in fact, you should be the one that's getting what she has.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And that's the dangerous
crazy.
thing there for me, is that I see.
Sure.
Ooh, am I about to say it? I'm about to say it. Okay, Jesus. I see a lot of jealous husbands.
Sure.
Husbands who are jealous of their women.
Women's success, man.
They're jealous of the woman's success
Ash.
because of they're having their own struggles. And instead of actually using their intellectual energy and whatever else that they've got to collaborate with their wives, they compete. They sabotage. They're sabotaging their businesses.
Sure.
They're sabotaging them at work. I mean, if I told you some of the stories that I know,
Yeah.
you'll be shocked.
Sure.
And you're looking at these men that are so used to seeing their mothers being at a disadvantage, and they admire their fathers, and they have this unresolved lust of being in the position of power, the same way that their fathers were in the positions of power.
Sure.
And when they see their wives actually doing more, as much or even better than them, they feel less, and they become jealous, and they sabotage. They sabotage. They sabotage through psychological attacks. You're nothing. You think you're this, and then they'll weaponize religion.
Yeah.
You know, you're not a Proverbs 31 woman.
Yeah.
The question is that, are you the husband that is able to handle a Proverbs 31
Come on, bro.
woman? You know, and I think I want to ask God, like, why did you not have a Proverbs 32 man?
You know why? 'Cause the whole Proverbs are written to the son.
Aha.
And so the woman is only told about how she can be in Proverbs 31, but the rest of the Proverbs are for you, man.
For you
And how you need to show up
that's a very
as a husband, right? Show up as the kind of man that can handle a Proverbs 31.
Sure.
So I'm like, man, there's more on your shoulder.
There's more on our shoulders.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that, you know,
Yeah.
I think that I'm seeing that too many of us relinquishing that responsibility.
Yes.
And I think the question of the question of what you bring to the table for me is part of that.
Yes.
It's part of like relinquishing the responsibility of realizing that we need to have a better plan. We need to have a plan. You know, we need to be able to we need to have a plan. And then we need to ensure that as much as we want to have women in our lives, that we are able to have women in our lives.
Yeah. That we show up as the men.
We show up as a man. This whole thing of she comes in, now she's the one that's carrying everything.
No, can't
Like
be,
that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just because we as men, yes, are willing to come in and take care of everything, it doesn't mean that we should be okay with her coming in and taking care of everything while we do absolutely nothing.
Nothing, man. Yeah.
And we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of that happening.
Yeah.
And for me, that is what, you know, if you're going to talk about emasculation, that's what emasculation for me is.
Yes.
Is that I'm not saying that you don't have to go through tough things as a man. You can go through tough things. But to sit back and to just be okay with not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
And then she does everything for you.
No.
That for me is an emasculated man.
Yeah.
You can talk about your soft guy era and all of that. It's fine. You
Yeah,
know?
sure. Yeah.
But we know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
We know exactly what you are.
Yeah,
Is that you're not in a soft guy era.
No.
You're just not stepping up.
You're not stepping up, man.
And becoming who you need to be to create a safer environment. You know, you don't see. And by the way, this is what is interesting to me. This soft guy era is not happening with other nations. Just by the way.
Yeah.
And look at where they are economically.
Definitely.
Look at where they are economically.
Definitely.
Look at where they are in terms of leadership. Look at where they are in terms of influencing the world.
Sure.
Look at where they are in terms of positions of power, of influence. Look at the progress. Look at their kids. Look at what their kids are doing. Look at because there's no soft guy era there.
Because the soft guy era man also fails to enable. You fail to enable your woman's success, your wife's success, because you're very self-involved and you're thinking about, you know, what's beneficial to you only. I think the thing I loved about everything you've been saying is the, you know, the center of gravity there is this thing called collaboration, you know, and kind of differentiating that from teamwork. So how do we actually come together and collaborate? How do we come together and work as a unit? So if I have to be an entrepreneur and be at home because that's where my office is, I am gonna cook, not because it's something less than. Because if I see it less than, then why couldn't I see it less than when my wife was doing it?
Yeah, is
You
she
know what I
less
mean?
now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not less than, but it's the thing that I need to be doing in order to make sure that there's a conducive environment for our family to thrive. And if our family thrives, like you rightly said, when my wife comes back home, she's coming back to an environment where there's happy kids, there's a happy husband, she finds a happy family, she's more motivated from going out there to get the lion's share of the work that she's been doing. She's gonna come back and be like, man, like I'm coming to rest. I'm coming to be the woman that my husband, that my kids require me to be. At work, she might have to kind of shut some of that down,
Yes.
so that she can show up in a particular way to kind of do the work that she needs to succeed in that environment. But when she comes home, man, she has to switch parts of those things off, just like you would as a man.
Yeah.
If you go out, man, you meeting clients, you working hard, you doing stuff. When you come back home, there's parts of that of your character, parts of your being that you're gonna have to shut down. You can't speak to your wife like a client. You can't speak to your kids like they're employees. You can't, right? And so some of those things have to shut down. Part of enabling her success is getting an environment where she can come back and be able to shut those things down, so that she's empowered well to go back out tomorrow and actually go achieve the things that she's going to achieve for us as a family. So I think the power of collaboration, man, is such a big thing. And it then clarifies this, we're not trying to promote the soft guy era, but we're also not trying to promote the tyrants.
No.
We're saying, how can we come together with our wives, collaborate, have this grand vision, and enable our wives to go succeed in a world that is set up for their failure, in a world that does not enable their success to shine, in a world that's constantly questioning how they show up as women, corporate spaces, in business, in sports, anywhere else. It's like, man, this is a world that was never cut out for you to go out and actually do the thing that you believe you've been called to. But I need to enable that as a man, as a husband at home. So I think collaboration is such a massive thing.
It's crucial.
Massive. Yeah.
I mean, talking about the book that I wrote, I talk about that masculine and feminine empathy, right?
Yeah.
And this is one of the things I realized, that femininity and masculinity, yes, there's an aspect of the physical and biological way of things, but there's also a way of thinking.
Sure.
The masculine thinks a certain way and the feminine thinks a certain way.
Yeah.
The masculine, more structured, more tends to focus more on the black and white, what is productivity, problem solving, critical thinking. The masculinity focuses on the it.
Yeah, the one thing.
Like, this is how this thing works.
Yeah.
These are the processes. That's more the masculine.
Yeah.
And then the feminine is, operates better in a chaotic environment.
Sure.
The creativity, the art, the collaboration, the democracy, the consultative, the nurturing environment, creating inclusive environment. Masculine, very exclusive. Like, you got to separate things from certain things and be able to see this doesn't go with this doesn't go with that.
Sure.
And that's what the masculine is supposed to do, right? Yeah. And some women are like that.
Sure.
Some women have got a very strong masculine mindset, which means that they're very scientific in their approach. They're very productive.
Yeah.
They cannot rest until things have been solved and been sorted out. They're going to sit there and somebody must take care. They are the somebody who will take care of it.
Sure.
Because that is how they are designed.
Sure.
And I see that there's a bit of an attack when you're trying to say this is what women should be, this is what men should be. Then we fail to realize that maybe Jabu Zwane has got a very feminine mindset, the way of thinking, collaborative, consultative, takes a long time, creative, thinks about a whole bunch of stuff, can operate better in chaos, type of thing.
Yeah.
And we have a problem with that, right? We have a problem with that, and you don't want to be that, and then you want to assume the more strategic, problem-solving role in the home. Yeah. But that's not your strength.
That's not your strength, and it's because you've been socialized to think
That should be.
that because that's masculine mindset.
Yes.
It has to align with your masculine biology.
Exactly.
And you're like, no, my mindset could be different.
It's yes.
Sure.
And now you want to assume a very masculine role as far as the way of thinking in the
Mindset,
home.
yeah.
But you struggle.
Sure.
Financially, you're not the best person in the world
Sure.
because you're very chaotic in your thinking.
Mm.
Right? So when it comes to finances, you're very feminine. Right now, somebody wants something, you say yes, you can't say no.
Sure.
Right? Like a mother. A child comes, oh, Mama, I'm so great.
Yeah.
And then the mommy just completely breaks down
Yeah.
and then gives the child what they want.
Sure.
And that's you as a man.
Sure.
When mommy comes and asks you for something, you completely break down and you give her. When the child comes, you completely break down. When your wife comes, you completely break down.
Sure.
You know? Like
Sure.
that's you. You don't know how you struggle to say no because of you very soft in the way that you think. And now you want to be able to be in charge of the finances in the home because you're the man. But you don't have the masculine mind to take care of that business. She does. She can say no to your mom.
Sure.
She can say no to
your
God.
cousins. Yeah. To God.
Like God has to convince and say, my child, it is me. Change. Otherwise, you say no. Right? And she can get things in a row and done.
Sure.
You know, she can plan, she can do all of those things.
Sure.
You know you don't have that within you.
Yeah.
Part of your leadership skill as a man is to say, you know what? That's you.
Utilize.
Yeah, you take care of that. My wife and I talk about this all the time.
Sure.
I'm like, for me, I'm very good with solving problems now. Give me the problem now. I'll get it sorted out. I'll set up. I'll go out there and I'll hunt and I'll make it happen. If we start to think too much about in the future,
that's not you.
We start to have troubles. You are good at that.
Sure.
So anything that has to, let's say, with our holidays and plans and all of that, that's you. You take care of that. Anything else that is temporary, that is day to day, that requires day to day solutions, that's me.
Sure.
You know, that I'm shining there.
So you both have a masculine mindset, but it works and operates at different levels.
At different levels.
Yours is immediate. Hers is long term.
Hers is long term.
Sure.
When it comes to kids, a lot of the times, because she's very strict, she's very much like her dad in that sense. Super different. My father was very I grew up in a very chaotic environment, so I'm used to handling chaos. I'm not moved by a child crying. She freaks out when she. You know what I mean? One's total silence. I can operate in quietness. So when it comes to even talking to kids, for example, there are certain discussions that only I can have.
Yeah.
And there's certain discussions that, okay,
sure,
you go handle that.
Yeah.
If it's something that is very delicate, that requires a very long-term approach, that's me. I'll come and sit down and I'll talk to them.
Sure.
If it's like,
that's her.
Yeah, then that's her.
Sure.
And the guys know. Like, hey, she's coming.
She's coming, man.
You know, the moods change on their faces.
Yeah. It's crazy that even with that, when it comes to discipline, you guys then switch. Yeah. Because then she's immediate.
She's immediate.
And then you can handle long-term chaos.
Exactly. But there are moments, there are times where the lion has to come out. There are moments where me, the alpha now, has to come up and say, okay.
Sure.
I've spoken to you. She's spoken to you. Now I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm telling you what you're going to do.
Sure.
All right. And then they know that when that part of me comes out, like it's over.
Yeah.
Like no negotiations, no buts. It's over. Now you got to get it done or you suffer the consequences.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's for me is the discussion that we are not having with these things where we're trying to just completely say this is how men are, this is how women are.
But it's more nuanced.
You know, it's very nuanced.
Yeah.
And it requires an ongoing conversation to say, you know, let's talk about a woman. Like, how do you feel when your man is like that? Do you see them as weak?
Sure.
Like in terms of your own framing.
Sure.
Do you still have a traditional framework and you're thinking he's weak?
Sure.
Because he doesn't just like grab the child and, you know, or just yells at them.
Sure. When he has a more nurturing, creative, chaotic approach. Let's walk together.
Let's work exactly. Yeah. Let's have a conversation.
You know?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk it through.
Sure.
how do you process that?
Yeah.
Do you resent it?
Sure.
Do you resent being created with a more masculine
Yeah.
mindset? And you're thinking, oh, because society says that I feel like I'm a man, you know, and you feel like then you should be more feminine. Like I hear this a lot with a lot of women that got a very masculine mindset. Like sometimes I feel like I feel like I don't like being with girls because women, you know, they get intimidated and they think I think like a man,
Sure.
type of thing.
Sure.
And as a result, you're living in that conflict, in the cognitive dissonance. And you start to resent yourself in marriage and start to resent him in marriage because you're operating, instead of operating in who God has created you to be, you're resenting it. You're unhappy about it. And then you're looking down on yourself.
Sure.
And then you're looking down on him. And that's not a very happy environment.
No. Sure.
Right there.
Sure.
And my what I'm putting down on the table is this. Operate in your strength.
Yeah.
When God made Adam and Eve, he called them Adam. One thing. One. He didn't say like they were either way, they were one thing. Within us, in terms of our mindsets, in terms of the way that we think, the way we're structured, there is both the masculine and the feminine.
Sure.
And if you know what your strengths are, leverage that.
Yeah.
Develop that.
Yeah.
Find a way to collaborate and make those two work.
Oh, sure, man.
Rather than fighting against it.
Sure. Yeah. The best illustration I heard around this kind of mindsets was at a brothers conference we had. So a friend of mine, Offensa, runs an organization called Conversations with a Brother, and one of the panelists was speaking about the masculine mindset being a rock, and the feminine mindset being the river. And so the river is gonna move. Sometimes it's gonna be calm.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's gonna.
There's a lot of variation.
Yeah. It's gonna be rushing quite heavy. But and sometimes it hits against the rock. Sometimes it just flows around the rock. But the thing that the rock should do, and what rocks do, is never move. Whether it's storming, whether it's windy, whether it's sunny, the rock is just there. The river can move, however, and it will constantly change, but the rock shouldn't move, at all. And so I'm like, man, that's just for me like that beautiful picture of collaboration around there.
Yes.
That the rock anchors. Right?
It's the anchor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you make me think about another aspect of my marriage right now is that
Sure.
my wife likes to change things all the time. That's the feminine, right?
Yeah.
Creativity, chaos.
Sure.
I mean, the other day we went to go buy tiles for for this investment house that we're doing.
Yeah.
And then she decides, let me buy tiles for the other room in the house. I'm like, so you mean you're going to break the ground again?
Yeah.
And put in a new tile?
Yeah.
What happened to us not doing anything this year?
Yeah.
But I'm realizing, as much as we've agreed that nothing's going to happen this year, she's unsettled.
Sure.
The feminine in her, which wants to constantly see progress. The feminine likes to see that progress, wants to see that growth, wants to see that beauty, wants to see that variation.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
That's the art. If you want to think about it this way, the masculine is the science, the feminine is the art. On the science part of things, and this is now how you get to realize, even as a woman right now,
sure,
that if you are into structure, into processes, into order, into things always following this particular way of doing things,
systematic,
you're not the type that gets excited about going out and shopping.
Yeah.
You're not even interested necessarily even in getting flowers.
You shop at the same store. You've been wearing the same outfit.
I mean, you are the type that can find themselves even in safety boots and baggy pants and all of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're mad. That basically means in terms of your way of thinking. Yeah. You've got a very regulated, standardized, predictable way of thinking, and you don't really do too well with having to do too much. All right?
Sure.
And on the other hand, maybe you've got a husband who's like, okay, new things.
Yeah.
They're colorful.
Let's go.
You know, he even dresses colorfully and he does all of that. And and he's very much about Yeah, spontaneity. Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
Let's go do this now. They don't always have to have a plan. They can roll with the punches.
Sure.
You know, as far as, and that's the masculine. The feminine is very adaptable.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
it's very adaptable in that way and easily adjusts. Whereas on the other hand, as you said about the rock, the masculine needs that stability,
Steady, man. Yeah.
that predictability, so that you can plan, so that you can progress,
Yeah.
so that you can have a strategy. And there's an element of control, you know, because that is needed for your sanity.
Yeah.
If there's too much variation, then if there's too much chaos, then you lose your mind and you like, okay, no. This thing, it's not working out. It's not working out for me,
Sure.
you know. And that's why it's important for us to realize that we have to have this ongoing conversations.
Yeah.
Nobody taught us these things. We are seeing them now. We're seeing
Responding,
how we're struggling with them. We're seeing how we're struggling to negotiate with them.
Sure.
And it is important for us to say, you know, what have we missed along the way? What have we missed? Not that we are wrong. Missing something doesn't mean that you're wrong. It just basically means that you're limited.
Yeah.
What could you not see 5 years ago that you're seeing now?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you now as an intellectual person, as an intelligent person, make a change?
Sure.
If the change is going to help to bring relief.
You have data now, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you got data, you got hindsight, you got the benefit of hindsight. Should you not, as a human being now, make adjustments that you need to make?
Yeah.
We should be real.
Yeah.
We should be real. And the reality of it is that, for me as an African man, I am aware of the fact that my wife has experienced her childhood differently from me.
Yeah.
I'm aware of it. I'm aware that she probably has more solidarity with how her mother experienced marriage, even if her mother did not articulate it.
Sure.
What she observed.
What you saw, man.
And what she felt was good and what she felt was not. And as any thinking individual, there are some decisions that she would have made along the way to say, I will never put myself in that situation. And if I am to be a good husband to her, and I am to use my skills, my abilities to build the marriage that I want to build, I cannot just ignore that. I can't just wish it away. All right. But in the same way also, the woman also has to understand, as much as that's what her experience, I also have my own experience.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
I've got my own experience where my father was not around.
Sure.
Or even when he was around. The fact that he wasn't available to me.
Yeah.
And even though he was around, I didn't necessarily have access to him.
You're fighting your own demons.
I've got my own demons.
Yeah.
I've got an example of a man I don't know. I'm only observing the things that he benefited. I don't know him. I don't know how he thinks. I don't know what he even thinks about me. But all I know is that the woman that loved me, my mother, that really adored me, adored him.
Yeah.
And I want her love. I want you to love me the way that she loved me and the way that she loved him.
Sure. That's as far as you know.
That's what I know.
And you bringing that.
That's what I'm bringing. And the mature conversation should be, okay, dude, what's your version of this thing?
Yeah. Beans and Bonds, the second edition. If you missed the first one, I could tell you why. You just didn't book on time, right? I am here to tell you that the booking link is right now open. Book a seat for you, your spouse, your friends, your neighbor, and anybody else that you want to bring to Beans and Bonds. When is it happening? The 29th of March. One, I'm going to be there. Secondly, we're going to have Uni Simon, who's performing for us, and then our guest of honor, my brother, my man, my homie, my mentor, Jabu Zwane. He's going to be there. It's going to be incredible. If you've seen the episode that we did with him, it was super, super dope. Man, you know that he's going to pull through with some gems, some crazy wisdom, and really, really dope insight to help us in our relationships, in our marriages, and particularly for us who are husbands. How do we stay encouraged and champion the institute of marriage, right? Some of you have been asking, who is Beans and Bonds for? Is it just for husbands? No, it's not. It's for anybody who is part of this community community, if you found value in anything that we do and say here, pull through. This is for you. Man, for the longest time, conversations around marriage, conferences, webinars, whatever it is, it was so exclusive for couples. And so we've decided never to take that approach. Why? Because we believe that marriage is not just for those who are married, but for everybody else who champions marriage or desires to be married. And so we're opening it up. If you found value in what we're doing, pull through to Beans and Bonds, where cups from connections, because we want to drink coffee and make bonds with you, right? The link is below, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. All right, Beans and Bonds, see you there. Peace.
I want you to love me the way that she loved me and the way that she loved him.
Sure. That's as far as you know.
That's what I know.
And you bringing that.
That's what I'm bringing. And the mature conversation should be, okay, dude, what's your version of this thing?
Yeah. How can you help us now? Because what I'm thinking is, one of the things here is 45% of women, think that the barrier to success is finances. And so we mentioned it earlier on, thinking that financial independence, financial security will be the thing that helps them to achieve whatever they would define as success. So if I have my own money, then I don't have to worry about a man enabling me to achieve success. I don't have to depend on a man. And part of those ideals come about because of kids observing their mothers, seeing fathers who are absent, etc., etc. So now that we find ourselves here, how do we, one, help husbands particularly to reframe their thinking, be aware that you're meeting a woman who's coming with her own preconceived notions of why she doesn't want to get married, or if she is going to get married, why she might even say, I want a prenup.
Yeah.
Right. So we're not getting married in community or property, not necessarily because I am thinking I'm going to have a business one day. So it's not a business decision that if, my business falls apart or your business falls apart, it doesn't drag our finances as a family. But no, I'm asking for a prenup primarily because my dad left and I don't trust men and I don't trust that you're going to be there for me, So how do we help heal those kind of narratives from a woman's perspective? How do we help men be aware that, man, you're meeting somebody who's coming with all of that history, and therefore, how can we then help husbands become custodians to help their wives' success after this healing? Because I don't think we're gonna get to the point where this 45% decreases. Where women say, man, like if I have financial liberty, then I don't have to worry about a man enabling me to be successful. Because what we're saying, rightly so, even on this podcast, is we need to collaborate. So we can't achieve women's success if men are not there. If husbands are not there, we can't.
Yeah.
But man, clearly there's a lot of healing that needs to happen.
Yeah.
There's tons of healing that needs to happen. So how do we walk men? Be aware that you're meeting women like this and you're gonna marry them. Women, be aware that you have scars like these and you need healing before we even address what the stats are. Yeah.
I think the very important word that you mentioned is awareness.
Sure.
Let's talk about what we both need to be aware of. As a man, I need to first of all be aware of the fact that I don't have an example of this man that I realize I have to be. As I'm navigating all these things, who's this man? I don't know who this man is.
Yeah.
I've never met him. Well, in my case, I have because of the men that have mentored me.
In your life, yeah.
Let's talk about the majority of men. I don't know who this man is. I didn't see him in my father. I didn't see him in my uncle. I didn't see him with my friends. I didn't see him with man. I didn't see who this man is. But I'm realizing that the men that they are and the framework that I've got is struggling to adjust to these current circumstances.
Sure.
To this one, because this woman that I am facing, I don't know who this woman is. I've never met her, this woman.
Sure.
I grew up with her.
Sure.
I fought with her
Sure.
and all of that. But I didn't realize all this time she was thinking and plotting and coming up with, and realizing that this thing is not good for her. That by the time that she fully formed, so much of how she's formed is against who she thinks I am, or she knows me to be through my father and through her brothers, whatever the case might be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got to be aware of that. And then I have to be honest and say, okay, if I don't know how to be that man, then what do I need to do to figure out the man that I need to be? I always say, I say three things to men all the time.
Yeah.
Understand the man that you are, that you become. And you may not be happy with that man. It's because you know who you are doesn't mean that you are happy. Many men, especially the ones that have gone through what we've gone through, is that they are trying not to be like the man that raised them.
You're working hard to not be your father.
You're working too hard to not be your father. But the thing is that you cannot become by not trying to be.
Yes.
You cannot.
Yes.
Like that's not a way to exist as a person. That's why then you have this conflict, this cognitive dissonance. There's so many things that can never be in your mind. And that's why you're struggling to become, because all your life is you trying not to be something.
So
right?
you're trying to live by running away from something, but you're actually not becoming the thing that you desire to be, because all your energy is spent on running away.
On running away, or not becoming. So the second thing is figure out then who have you become.
Come on, man.
All right. And then say, of who I have become, what do I like about that man? All right. I like that this man is understanding. I like that this man is willing to change and all of that. But I don't like that this man sees other people as, especially women, as someone to serve them.
Yeah.
Realize that, okay, maybe let's say you grew up as one boy among the girls and your mother. Everybody served you.
Served you, yeah.
That's how you see them.
Sure.
So when you go out and look for a woman, you're looking for your sister.
Yeah.
You're looking for
your mom.
That's what you're looking for. And if the woman does not become that, then you don't feel loved.
Sure.
You find it difficult to feel loved. Like this woman could love you to death, but because she's not doing what your mother used to do, there's no way in your mind, you don't have mental properties to process that and interpret that as love.
As love, yeah.
Now you're fighting her for the way she loves you, and then you're crying for her to love you the way that your mother loved, but
she's not your mom.
She's not your mom. She's not your mom, right? And she doesn't have responsibility towards you in that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then on this side here, as a woman, is to realize that as much as it is true that you may have observed some of the things you've observed that we're not happy with, this man, as much as he may have benefited, he also is a victim.
Yeah.
He's a victim of the circumstance.
Yeah.
All right. And for you to take all of your anger out on him is not helpful.
He's not your dad.
It's not your dad.
Yeah.
You cannot be now wanting him to pay for what your dad did, what your brother's not doing. Like, why you don't make him pay, especially if he is doing what he can to fight to become the man that can love you well. But because of you become so hardened in your heart, you don't care. And so the second part of awareness is about self.
Yeah.
Like if it's all about self, it's all about what you're not getting and what you should be getting and what other person must do. And if they don't, you're going to. And if they, you have all of these conditions about it better not. You have you're an ultimatum on steroids. Yeah. Like everything of yours is an ultimatum.
Yeah.
You're ready to go any given moment. Oh, he sniffed funny. I'm gone.
Yeah. Sure.
Sure. Oh, he likes those shoes and they look like my dad. I'm gone.
Yeah.
Like anything is ready to trigger you to go. You need help. You need healing. You need healing.
Yeah.
Because the question that I've been saying is that, do you know how to be loved in a safe environment? Do you know how to feel love in a safe environment? Or are you have you become so accustomed to fighting that the only way for you to feel in power is when you're fighting? Like if you're not fighting, you feel vulnerable. You're unsettled. Something bad is going to happen.
That's your understanding of what life is.
Mm-hmm.
When there's peace, your brain freaks out.
Yeah, peace is a trap. It's a setup.
Yeah. Or it's a red flag that something bad is about to happen.
Exactly.
Why do we have peace? Why do we have stability? And so you're constantly chasing for, let's aggravate, let's poke the bear, because then this band I'm forgetting their name now, but they had a line: you cut me or you prick me. to bleed just so that you know that I'm still alive. And I'm butchering the line. you
Yes,
know?
yeah,
But I cut myself to bleed just so that I know I'm alive. And so you're constantly poking the bear. It's the same as trying to cut yourself to see, I still have blood. So you just end up with a lot of cuts. You're always fighting because the sign of blood is
It's a sign of
evidence.
life.
It's that it's
evidence
sign of life.
Yeah, it's a sign of life.
Man.
And it's like one of these things, like,
Man.
let's say, talk about the whole peace thing.
Sure.
Here's a very interesting, very interesting thought. Let's say that you are this woman that grew up this way, but you meet a black who was raised by both her parents in a very healthy environment, very confident, knows that they don't have to labor for love. They just know that, you know what, they are lovable and they're confident and they can take and they can receive help. They can ask for stuff. They're not necessarily selfish in any way, but they're quite confident to ask for things and to say no if they don't want to get anything done, and they only do what they want to do. Do you know what I mean? And then here you come, and then this guy is aggravating you because you've never seen a confident man that is not oppressive.
Yes. Yeah.
And then just the mere fact of their confidence is a trigger for you to feel like you are being oppressed.
Yeah. And his confidence is actually motivated by love.
It's exactly.
He is loving, and therefore he knows he needs to show up in a certain way that could carry that love.
Exactly. And then he's able to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
But where you come from, accountability was a way into trouble.
Yes.
You were like you were being rebuked when you were being held accountable. It was like you're gonna get in trouble, and you're being accused. And sometimes in a chaotic environment, there are many false accusations, and so you develop a very defensive way of looking at things.
Yep.
So when this poor soul is like, "Hey, I don't particularly like it when you talk to me that way. Like, don't control me. This one is controlling. You know? I don't know. This one is men always put themselves first.
Yeah.
He's able to say, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, but I'll do it if you want. No, but you must want to do it with me.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't have to want to do it with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. You should actually be very happy.
I still have agency. I have
You know what I'm
feelings.
saying? You have agency. In fact, how you should see it is that, oh wow, he's willing to do something that he doesn't want to do for me.
For me.
And not have this thing where you're thinking, oh, he's forcing himself.
Sure.
Actually, you want somebody to force themselves.
Yes.
It's a sign of love.
Sacrifice.
It's sacrifice.
Pushing themselves.
I don't know why sometimes we don't want that. Like, I don't want you to force you. Like,
It's what you were saying earlier on, is that feminine energy. Things need to be spontaneous.
Like, not everything's spontaneous.
Not everything's spontaneous.
Some of the things are hard.
They're hard, man.
You know?
Yeah.
But because of the value, because of I value you,
Sure.
I am willing to forego my own comfort
Yes.
and my own preferences to go with what makes you feel loved because I don't need it. See, that's the thing about a confident person is that I don't need you to do one more thing. So yes, I can forgo because I've got the love. I've been loved. I have it. And I can give it to you.
Yeah.
Because I've received it freely. So I can be able also to give it to you for free. And I don't also expect to labor for it with you. But where you come from, everybody's laboring for love.
For love, man.
They're laboring for love. You know, you got to make sure that you don't say anything wrong. You do more. You serve. You do what they tell you to do. If you don't, then there are threats and all of that. You come from an environment where you're not just loved for who you are, but you're loved for what you do. You're hated for what you don't do. In fact, even the way you do it can become an issue. Yeah. And then if you you see how that becomes a problem. Yeah. You know, and the same thing also applies with men, where they really get that woman that has been very loved very well. Yeah. That has got that confidence. Yeah. And they love you not because of they want you to serve to perform. Oh, let's talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Come on,
let's do this. This is probably the most common one. Yeah. Than what I just explained. Sure. The most common one is, here comes Jabu. Yeah. Jabu broken. Yeah. Hey, when are we broken? Jabu is broken. Jabu means Nolly. Yeah. Nolly is not broken. Yeah. She comes from a healthy father, healthy mother, good brothers, good environment.
She knows what love is.
She knows what love is.
She knows what marriage is.
You know, and she is beautiful.
Yeah.
But she doesn't carry her beauty as some kind of a power tool that she weaponizes.
No.
As a matter of fact, she's so sick and tired of people talking to her about her beauty.
Sure.
And she's very consciously neglecting that aspect of her. But what do you see? Yo,
Shambul.
boss, palesa.
Yeah.
I mean, like you see this beauty, right? You know, she smiles and the whole world lights up. And then she comes from a good family. Yo.
Yeah.
You're thinking, yo, she comes from a good family. She's very beautiful. I come from a broken family. And she says yes.
Yes.
And then you're like,
yeah. Bold as.
you know, there's after that whole, the man is like, no matter why.
Yeah.
No matter why me. And then you are in that moment of unbelief.
Yeah.
Like you cannot reconcile the fact that someone like her has said yes
to you, man.
To you. Right? And then you feel like now I've got to perform. Or she wants me to perform. And then, brother, you perform. And then you're working. And then you're performing.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking she comes from money.
Yeah.
So you're buying all these expensive things. But when you can't anymore, then you're going out commercial Nisa.
Hey.
And now you start getting into debt.
Hey.
Right?
Yeah.
Or you start to do things and then you start to really sort of mess up your life. And then she's like, but Ndot, kanjani?
I didn't come here for that.
Like, what are you doing?
Yep.
And on this side, she's doing very well, by the way, because she comes from stability.
Yeah.
And she's just like,
Yeah.
and we're now on this side. You're struggling now. And now you get into that whole become abusive, psychologically abusive, even physically abusive.
Yeah.
And then you're feeling sorry for yourself sometimes. Maybe you're not abusive because you are a very constrained type. You're feeling sorry. You withdraw into your corner. And she always has to come in there, into your corner. Baby.
What's happening?
Boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, poor me boy.
Yeah.
You're in there behaving like a little kid.
Yeah.
And then when she's like, okay, I can help you. Oh, I'm food. You're like a little kid.
Yeah.
Oh, what you know, like you're behaving like a little kid because of you going through whatever you're going through.
Yeah.
And then a part of you still feels like, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
I don't deserve this. And you start behaving in a very self-sabotaging way. You start, and there's a point where she's like, listen, I'm sick and tired of this rubbish.
Yeah.
I love you. But dude, you need to go heal.
You need to heal, man.
You know, and you don't want to go to counseling again. Because I'm not going to go to counseling.
Yeah.
You know, I know those guys with so much English.
Yeah.
You don't want to go there. You don't want to get healed. You don't want to sort yourself out. And then you're going to lose an incredible woman because of your stubbornness, because of your lack of humility, because you're not dealing with your shame, with your guilt, and with your fears, because of insecurities. You're going to lose an incredible woman. You're going to lose out on an incredible life that you could have built together for yourself and for your kids.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna be develop that victim mentality. You complain to everybody, empowered women.
Yeah.
No, it's not empowered women. It's you.
You need a healing, man.
It's you. It's you. And unfortunately, I'm seeing this far more. And I'm pretty sure that for this episode, a lot of women are gonna say yes.
Sure.
That's my experience.
Sure.
Because I found that to be a far more common experience.
Yeah.
Where we don't deal with our rubbish.
Yeah. It spills out.
Right?
Yeah.
Women to go through the stuff to get the healing that they need to get, and they don't mind. They're the ones that are into those counseling sessions.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are having those healing conversations with each other. We are not.
Why does that happen? And maybe it speaks into your book as well. Why does that happen when it comes to either emotions or mental well-being? You know, because what we spoke about earlier on, again, it's this feminine and masculine mindsets. It seems that the women would tap into a feminine mindset when it comes to their emotions, when it comes to their mental well-being, and they would exist in the chaos of life, the chaos of their own brokenness, share that with other women. You know, they're not quickly looking for solutions. And they just like, man, this is how I'm feeling. And they spill out and they just, kind of, vomit everything out. And the girlfriends take it in, their friends take it in. And they like, man, we're going to be here. This thing might take us, probably like a whole year to talk about this one thing. We'll talk about it on the girls' trip. We'll talk about it when we go for the spa. We'll talk about it after church. We'll talk about it when we go for drinks. We'll talk when we just in the chaos and we crying and we, you know what I mean? But for us, it seems like when it comes to emotions, even for men who have a feminine mindset when it comes to, let's say, finances and other things, and maybe just their general approach, maybe men who are more nurturing, whatever. But when it comes to our mental health, when it comes to our hearts, our emotional state, it seems like we just tap into
the masculine
mindset. Why is that? Like, why can't a man who probably taps into his feminine mindset in other areas do that here? Because generally it seems like a majority of us go into our masculine mindset when it comes to our emotions and our heart and our mental well-being, you know, and as opposed to women. So even a woman who's very scientific, when it comes to her mind and her well-being, she'll spill out, man, you know, compared to us.
I think for me, the two words is the perception of safety and vulnerability.
Okay.
When it comes to safety, a woman, safety is provided for her.
Okay.
When it comes to safety, a man provides the safety.
Okay.
So the currency of the man is built on his ability to provide safety. So building the skills to provide safety. And someone who provides safety, should they look vulnerable?
Can't, man.
Can't be. So there's a certain stoicism.
Imagine a security guard that you hired to look after your house, and then he knocks on your door when there's robbers.
Right?
They're robbing us. Please come help. You'd be like, I pay you to provide
You know
safety. What are you doing?
But think about it this way. I mean, would you, this might be a risky joke, but
Yeah.
would you trust a security guard dressed in a pink uniform?
Sure. No. Sure. I hear you.
Even the colors of safety, they're very masculine.
They have to be black or red.
The black or red or the navy.
Or the navy.
Or the dark green.
Yeah.
You're not going to see some lime green security. Like,
sure.
You know what I'm saying? Those are very masculine colors.
Sure.
So the perception of safety, we judge a man by his ability to provide safety.
And
for himself,
do you think we know that
and for
innately?
others?
As
Yes.
men? Sure.
Whether it's innately, whether it's by design, but I think innately we know it. That from a very young age, the reason why we love those movies is that they teach us how to take care of danger. Like a man knows that I'm judged by my ability to arrest danger.
Sure.
That's part of the reason why a lot of men, and I've said this many times, and unless you've been masculine, maybe you've not experienced this.
Sure.
But for someone that is quite masculine, it's not uncommon for me to have a stranger from nowhere literally even come and touch me, come and grab my shoulder, and tap me and like, oh, Fetu. Like and it's different ages and it's different races.
That's not happening to me.
I'm pretty sure you do get your for the drip, man. I don't get a lot for my drip, but anyway, because the perception of your height, your largeness,
stature,
the whole issue of heart.
Yeah.
The height thing with women is mainly a safety issue. It's not. It's the perception that when you are
sorry
taller,
to the short kings.
you know what I'm saying, man? Short and skinny, you brothers. I know. We're praying for you, Chandala.
Short kings, we are sorry.
Especially the short and skinny kings. Hey, yo, guys, I know you have a draft. But it's biologically, that's the perception of safety.
Safety, man.
You know what I'm saying? So all of us men, we get that whole thing. We even get it that a short king can be short and skinny, but if he can fight,
yeah, come on now, we're good.
We're good to go
because it's providing safety.
And the thing is that a man will not undermine even the short guy, especially if he's confident, because we don't know what he's trusting in. So if he's short and he's and we're like, okay, he must be trusting in something, and part of it is that his ability to arrest danger.
Sure.
On the other hand, for women, vulnerability, and when they acknowledge the vulnerability, it is an invitation for rescue. And then we all jump, and she knows that, okay, I don't have to know how to fight and all of that, but if I can say help,
those who
3
provide
men will come to help me. when people hear that high pitched, soft, voice, they're gonna jump towards helping. So as a result, for me, I keep on saying all the time,
Sure, man.
vulnerability lands differently for a masculine person and for a feminine person. There are women who have a masculine mindset, and then vulnerability for them doesn't work.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about their problems.
No.
They want to know, how do we get it done? They don't. You're gonna find it difficult getting them to open up because they've got a masculine mindset.
Yeah.
And in their minds, that if I need to be able to do something about it, that's why they're constantly doing something about it.
Sure.
Right. And these are the women that were matriarchs. In our culture, these women that are aborachadi, that they know. Everybody goes to, even the uncles and the malume, they go to them because they've got a very masculine mindset. And in their minds, they get things sorted out.
Sure.
So by and large, when it comes to the emotion, let's say the mental
Yeah.
and the emotional aspect of things, first of all, emotions, most of the time are viewed from the point of
Feminine
being
mindsets.
feminine.
Yeah.
Right? Not so much as a masculine thing.
Yeah.
And mental struggles, we all have a very negative perception
Of them.
from
Yeah.
the point of you're losing your mind.
Sure. Sure.
So if you're taking those two things together, for most men, they're not interested in being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, whether we like it or not, in society, men's vulnerability gets easily weaponized against them.
Yeah. Totally.
Very easily.
Yeah.
If you say you're scared, you're a man, you shouldn't be scared. And you can hear that from a kid, from a grandfather.
Yeah.
Even a dog will be like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Who the hell are you?
Like, really? Like those are the words that a man should never,
Sure.
it doesn't land very well to the societal ear when a man says, I'm scared.
Sheesh, man.
When a man says, I don't have, like, why don't you have? You should go be a man, go get something.
get.
So the language of vulnerability in men is unfortunately most of the time weaponized. And I find that it's a lot easier to get a man to vulnerability if we can just talk transparency.
Yeah.
Tell me exactly what you're struggling with. And then the what is about the thing, the it.
The it. Yeah.
All right. And we're going to talk about how we're going to solve the it. And then once we are working through the it, I can start talking to you about how you're feeling, man. All right. But I can't
You've given me the framework.
Yes.
Before we talk about my emotions. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
So again, the masculine needs that.
Yeah.
I give you, this is what we're going to be doing, the solution, practicality. And then as you're gaining your confidence, as you're feeling like I'm tackling the problem, I can start talking to you about where you at. Where you at, bro?
Sure.
That thing that we talked about. How you dealing with that?
Yeah.
How's that making you feel?
Sure.
And then it's only when a man knows that their vulnerability is not going to be hijacked. We talked about that in the first season.
Yeah.
Hijacked moments of vulnerability or weaponized vulnerability. If I know that my vulnerability is not going to be weaponized, where what I told you in secret, where I told you about my struggles, it's not going to be like, oh yeah, that's why they hate you. Oh, that's why your father left you. Oh, that's why they divorced you. This is exactly why.
This is why your father left you.
This is why your father left you. It's because of these shoes that you're wearing.
Yes. Guys, never say that to a dude.
He must have been very embarrassed with your dress style. You know what I mean?
Sheesh.
And until a man knows that their vulnerability is not going to be weaponized, it's a very difficult thing to achieve.
Yeah.
But a woman knows that most of the time, actually, her vulnerability is not weaponized. In fact, it prompts and it calls out.
Yeah.
It solicits help.
It's gonna be protected.
And then that's why then it's so easy for me to say, no, I'm fine. It's only now, lately where their vulnerability is starting to get weaponized in a very, as life changes in general. You see that even women now these days don't like to be vulnerable. But generally speaking, I find that vulnerability for the feminine is normally has very positive response from society. Right? That's why they have more homeless homes. Homes for women. Right? Like even if you went in this entire country, you'd be lucky if you've got 3 homes for men, for homeless men.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure you'll be like, 50, 100. Here's another very interesting stats. They say that up to 40% of young boys get sexually molested these days.
40.
Up to 40% of them.
It's crazy.
Even though that's the case, do you know that there's not even one home in this country that helps
It's crazy.
young boys who are molested?
Sheesh. It's crazy.
It's not even spoken about.
I know one. Matrix Man.
Sure.
Yeah. But literally, I can't tell you another one.
Yeah. I mean, I thought there was absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised to actually hear that there's even one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
even though, like right now, like
Sure.
a lot of young boys are getting vulnerable to even sexual molestation, it's a situation where there isn't still, as society, we're still not acting.
Yeah.
But then again, for me, it's we as men are the ones that are supposed to act.
Because those boys grow up and become the men that we're talking about now,
Exactly.
who won't have the awareness or even the know-how to seek for help so that they could be healed. And then these stats that we've been chatting about will just perpetuate. They'll growing.
Continue.
They'll go into the next generation, man.
Absolutely.
If the man is not fixed, man, it's hard to try and even think about how we're going to start repairing society.
But we are responsible for that.
We are.
Black, we are
are.
responsible for that.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm excited about the podcast and even some of the other things that we got planning going forward.
Yeah.
That the women are overwhelmed based on these stats. They're overwhelmed. They've got the financial troubles. They've got the psychological troubles, sociological troubles. I mean, they can't even go and jog these days in South Africa because you've seen these idiots that are just like, like these boys, these men that are just attacking them and raping them.
Yeah.
So women are overwhelmed with their own troubles, and now I'm not interested in men complaining about society. I'm like, you're a freaking society. You are the society.
You are the society.
What are you doing?
Yeah, sure.
So many of you, so many of these men, so many of us are in positions of power. What are we doing? Right? Is it not true that we see so many of them also wasting money and taking advantage of younger girls?
Young girls, yeah.
Is it not true that so many of them are don't even have any bursaries? They don't have any, non-profit organizations that they're funding. They're not involved in any way in terms of changing the trajectory. Oh, let me say we are not. Okay, we're not involved in any way in terms of changing the trajectory of the boy child.
Sure.
And you keep on saying society. And again, for me, it's like, again, you're asking for your mother. You're asking for women to mother you. We're asking for women to mother us again, as if they don't have enough. It's almost like we're back in the home again. There she is. She's carrying Jabu on her back. She's holding black on the other side. And then she's carrying a thing on her head. And she's still also having to cook at the very same time. And then, Joe at the corner there is also crying.
Yep.
Like, when does she have time?
To be
and for herself. And then we keep on saying society. And most of the time, my mind, when I say society, I'm hearing you're saying again, women.
Us. Yeah. Sure.
Because who has access to the resources?
Sure.
According to the stats, it's men.
Yeah.
Who has access to the positions of influence?
Men, yeah.
Who has access to change policy?
Sure. Us, yeah.
Who's seated in those political positions? Who are the most CEOs of these massive companies?
Sure.
Who are the ones that are running more stable entrepreneurship ventures? Who are the ones that still get better response even in the business?
Sure.
It's still men.
Yeah.
And then where do we get off complaining about society?
When we are society.
When we are society. When we are literally at the helm of everything. Like, what is our vision?
Sure.
Right? What is our vision?
Yeah.
This is not going to change as long as a man does not see himself for the powerhouse that he is.
He is.
And then until a man decides to use his power, not only to benefit himself, but to benefit society, where he starts to realize that part of his evolution is to collaborate with the feminine, with the women, to build a society that they want, to correct some of the wrongs that other men that you don't agree with have built.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you agree with those men.
No.
Because those are the same guys that were not fathers to you.
Sure.
you know, but now you're wanting to still continue with a system that they've built,
Sure.
all right, that they've been in charge of. But then at the very same time, you want to benefit from her evolution.
Make it make sense.
Like, make it make sense. Let's make it make sense.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's for us to continue through our own personal journey of healing as men,
Yeah.
and to continue to have very frank discussions about our struggles.
Come on, man.
Now, I'm very frank about my struggles.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
like, I don't understand certain things, and I'm very frank, and I tell my wife, like, dude, no, I see, like, for example, if her father is around, I respond very differently to her
Yeah. Sure.
for two things. I see how she treats him, and I start to compare myself with how she treats him. You know, some of the things that I would normally do without any problems, all of a sudden, I'm worried about being disrespected and not being seen as a man. And I'm like, how come she also didn't serve me on a tray? Like she did her father. You know, I'm acting because, you know,
sheesh, man.
like this, we need to have these conversations to say, who do I want to be as a man?
As a man.
Am I proud? And what does that look like? And by the way, what is the purpose? What's the purpose?
Yeah, I follow this.
For at the end of it all, okay, I want to be a man, to make the money and to be successful and to do that.
And then
to what end?
And then what?
Yeah, to what end? You got the money, now what?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. The man you must fear the most is the man you keep on burying when you are not free. That man that's afraid of consequences. You must be afraid of that man. You must be afraid of that man that won't come out because that doesn't want to come out. If you push down because you don't have enough money, push him down. You push him down because you don't have power. Push him down. You push him down because you don't feel safe. Because that man is the real you.
Yeah.
That's the person that's going to come out when you've got the money.
Yeah.
That man that you're pushing down, who has unresolved lusts, that looks at the young girl and says, I wish I could do this so I can buy her this so that I can get this from her. That one that is afraid of talking to that married woman that's beautiful because you're afraid of losing your job. But you wish and you imagine in your mind that if I become the CEO, if I become the CFO, if I become this, I'm sure I can get her. No, I'm sure. That one. I'm sure that one I can get.
So you're working towards your own detriment.
Listen, that's the man you gotta deal with.
Because he's gonna come out.
That is the dangerous man that you gotta deal with. Is the one that you are constantly suppressing when you're afraid of the consequences. Because when you are in power, my friend, the real you is gonna come out.
It's gonna come out.
When you got that money,
because that man is gonna say, "You've buried me for far too long."
Buried me for far too long.
Now that we're at the top,
yeah,
I'm coming out, dog.
Because you know what that man is saying is the time.
Yeah.
He's asking you.
Yeah.
Is it time? Like, no, it's not time yet.
Hold on,
just chill. It's not time.
That's what you're saying to him.
Yeah, you see, no, it's not time. Relax. Right now, if you come out, we're gonna get us in trouble. Emanyan. Just wait. That man is waiting for timing.
Yeah.
And when the time is right,
it's
gonna come out.
Yeah.
When he can get away with the evil plans that he's got.
That he's always had.
He's always had. That's when he's gonna come out.
Yeah.
So that broken marriage, he's waiting.
Yeah.
That cheating, he's waiting.
Yeah.
That you taking advantage of a young girl in front of you looking for a job.
Yep.
And then you wanting sexual favors.
Yep.
That guy is waiting.
Yep.
You making the other guys around you, ice boys.
Boys.
That's the guy. You telling everybody where to get off, that they're nothing. That narcissist is waiting.
Yeah.
And then you may be fooling people right now because you're all quiet and all reserved and everybody's thinking you're so amazing, you're so humble. No, you're not humble, you're suppressed. You're suppressing the real you. And you got to deal with that suppressed person.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that is going to destroy everything that you're currently building. That's the one that has no respect for everything that you're building, but sees that what you're building as a tool of power and of oppression.
I've been keeping quiet this whole time.
It's like, it's my time now.
My time.
You know, that's the resentful. That's the jealous. That's the bitter.
Yeah.
That's the vengeful. Who is it that you are plotting to revenge?
Yeah. Who's this woman who thinks that she can succeed?
Who's this woman that you want to come at?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, oh man. Okay. Here's the sad thing about it, right? This is the sad thing, Black. Unfortunately, this woman is the one who's helping you now.
Let's get out of here, bro.
You're plotting against her.
You're plotting against her, man.
You're suppressing yourself because of you feel you're benefiting. You're benefiting from her kindness, from her resources. You're benefiting from the love that she's given to you without you having to labor for.
And you haven't done
But
anything.
you're resentful because you feel like unless and you need to deserve it, right? And then you are building this massive resentment, and you as soon as you get that job, guess what?
Oh. Yeah.
You flip because
You're throwing a homecoming party for that man.
that guy is coming, and then you are judging your wife based on how you would judge. You are judging yourself. And you're resenting her for not judging you the way she's judging you. And you're seeing the fact that she's not judging you the way that you judge yourself as a weakness.
As a weakness.
As something for you to oppress. And then the moment you have that power that you think you should have in terms of money, influence, and now even recognition from those women that have rejected you.
She's paying for all of that stuff.
You've been plotting to revenge her. And the price that she pays for her loyalty, for her love, for her faithfulness, for being understanding and caring for you is betrayal.
Yeah. So deal with that guy.
Deal with that guy.
Now.
Deal with that guy now.
Sure.
Deal with that guy now. Because that guy is the one that is going to be saying, out of nowhere, at divorce. That's the guy who's going to be going after the unresolved lust. That woman that he couldn't get in high school.
Yeah.
He's going to go after that woman. Not that specific woman, but that image. That ideology of the woman. He's going to go after her. Right? Go konka kwa, somewhere in waterfall, somewhere. She's sitting there, dope hero zero with a long hair that hits, down there.
Yeah.
Like that's an unresolved lust. That is you probably conceived in insecurity, in immaturity, in pain. And if you don't deal with that, that guy is coming for everything. That guy's coming for everything you're building.
Coming. Yeah.
Coming for everything you're building.
That's crazy, man.
It's going to destroy everything.
That's scary. And you know what the scariest part of all of this is that guy exists in all of us.
That guy exists in all of us.
Exists in you, he exists in me.
In all of us.
And we have to kill that guy every day.
Every single day.
Every single day. Because you discover parts of him. You might think, I'm healed. I'm aware. No, my marriage has been going on. No, I champion my wife. I support my wife.
Yeah.
And, I'm an advocate to support other women. But then something else happens that you weren't prepared for, that you weren't aware of, that brings out another side of that guy. And you thought, I dealt with this guy. And you're probably going to be dealing with him for a very long time. But the thing that you need to do is deal with him.
You're gonna deal with him.
You have to.
Mm.
You have to.
You have to deal with that guy because a lot of who that guy is conceived in childhood.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't know right from wrong.
Doesn't.
Only chasing for that thing that he never got.
Yeah. He's responding to circumstance.
He's responding to circumstances.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
you have to be very, 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 very careful of that dude. And like you said, I like it when you say, like, you know, we have to constantly be talking to that dude, and not even talking to him, but just dealing with him.
You have to deal with him, man.
You gotta deal with him.
Yeah. Because he has, you know, again, to the masculine mindset, he's fixated on one thing. I'm gonna get all the things that I couldn't get. The things that you're saying I must wait for, that's what he's focused on.
You know,
I'm gonna get the girl, I'm gonna get the influence, I'm gonna get the power, and I'm gonna use it for myself and no one else.
and no one else.
Yeah. And so you need to always deal with that guy. And when his ugly head rears and he shows you all the sides of him, man, you need to put all those things down, bro.
Yeah. And let's think about a very practical way of how you know that guy exists.
Yeah.
That guy exists in your imagination. You're by yourself. And nobody's there. You're sitting. And then maybe you are at the restaurant and you're seeing her. Your unresolved lust. And then you start to imagine.
Yeah.
If only you start to put the scenario in your head.
Yes. Yes.
If only. Right? And here's the sad thing about it is that, unfortunately, sometimes you build that imagination so much, you don't even wait.
Yeah.
You don't even wait, and you start to create that guy.
Act on him.
You start creating him.
Sure.
And this is now you you're married, you're not rich, but you're going to create that guy.
Yeah.
You're going to use that to create that guy. You're going to give him those expensive shoes. You're going to get him that expensive car. You're going to get him that, whatever it is that you want to give him. You're going to put him out there in front of that girl. She thinks it's that dude. She doesn't know is that. It's a figment of your own imagination.
It's a cover up, man.
Can't even afford those shoes that you're wearing. But you're going to have to prove it. Right? What do? You take more money. You give it to her. You're not paying at home.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
You're not paying. She thinks your wife thinks you're paying for the mortgage.
Yeah.
But you're not.
You're becoming exactly what your wife was afraid of when she came into this marriage in the first place.
Exactly.
I saw my father do this to my mother. Hence, I know that if I'm going to succeed, I need to look after my own pockets. Because you have this unresolved man who's buying expensive shoes and expensive cars, living beyond his means. And so you raise her insecurities when that guy shows up.
Yes. And there you are. Because you never dealt with your father.
With your father.
You never dealt with your idol.
Never dealt with that. That little boy hasn't reconciled.
Yeah.
That he's not his father.
It's not his father. And by the way, it may not be his father. It might be Grootman.
Yeah.
It might be your uncle.
Yeah.
Right? That you saw. You know, like it might be the uncle. You know, to date, I like very smoky colognes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of the reason I like smoky colognes, I realized that is because one of my uncles that I really respected smoked. Like I get drawn to any smell in a man that has that cologne that's smoky.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And I realized, oh my, this is a
Smell is powerful.
It's incredibly powerful.
Smell is actually a very powerful sense compared to hearing, seeing, taste. Because smell transports you to a place.
A place.
An experience, a moment. You know, you can hear a song and you'll still interpret the feeling of that song based on the environment you are currently in. You know, you can taste something. It might remind you of something, but the current environment will still draw more of your attention. You could see something, reminds you of, but the current environment. Smell, on the other hand, transports you back to that moment, back to that experience. It brings that person, your uncle, it brings him here. I don't know what it is about smell, man. Smells are dangerous, man.
Dangerous. I mean, for me, it's that smell. It's the watch, and then it's the shoes.
Sure.
Like,
sure.
If you don't deal with these things, if you don't deal with your unresolved lusts, if you don't deal with whatever has happened with you as a child, those vain. Let's make it very biblical. There's a very verse in the Bible says this in 2 Corinthians 10:5. It says that casting down every vain imagination and every high thing that exalts itself above the knowledge of Christ, and bring it to the obedience.
Yes.
Bring it to the obedience.
Yes.
Like you might have to, you have to watch out for your vain imaginations as a man, even as a woman, because even as a woman, that's when you get that degree that is helping you to get now, that is funding, and you get that job. What is your vain imagination?
Sure.
What's your vain imagination? Because when you are in that place, because there are a lot of women that have a similar type of mentality where they didn't marry the one. They married the one who provides security, stability, the one who loves them more than they love her. But he's not the one. If you don't have that unresolved lust, it's happening. If you don't solve it,
It's gonna come knocking,
it's gonna come knocking.
and you need to pay up
You know?
because you didn't deal with me.
It's what they keep on saying all the time, that it's not money that changes people. It just allows you to reveal yourself.
Who you truly are.
Yeah, you've always been there all along. That person has always been there. It was just suppressed. And the relief of that, to get out of suppression,
Yep.
And I'd say this as a warning, even also especially to a lot of women, like especially you, the ladies that are really well put together, and that most of the time misunderstood. You're too masculine. You think you're better. You're beautiful. You got to, you know what I mean? And then you are trying to make yourself less so that you can, attract the right kind of man.
Yeah.
Listen, if you change yourself, you're not attracting the right kind of man. You're attracting the wrong.
Because who are you?
You want the one to step up.
Yeah. For who you are.
For who you are.
Yeah.
That is the right kind of man.
Sure.
You want him to step up.
Sure.
You don't want to change yourself. Because then the wrong kind of man comes because they think that you are whatever you
presented.
You've downplayed whatever you presented, whatever you've made the lesser part of who you are. And then when you start to feel that love, that emotion, because at the end of the day, emotions don't know the difference, right? You start to feel loved. Now the real you wants to come out.
Because you're comfortable now.
And dude is like, who's this?
Yeah. I didn't come here for that. Yeah.
Who's this now?
Yeah.
Ubani lo manje.
Sure.
50-50 lo phuma manje.
Sheesh.
Ukari woman, no feminism.
Yeah. Oh, that's insane.
Sheesh. And this thing again, it's we have to constantly have these conversations. Because if we don't talk about these conversations, these numbers don't change.
Yeah.
Because we take ourselves to work.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if I still see her success at home as an intimidation for me, do I want to see her success at work?
No.
No.
Oh.
I definitely don't.
Forget that, man.
I don't want you to be my boss at work. So I'll find a way to constantly see your work as less than a man's work.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same quality, even though it's even better quality.
Sure.
Because in my mind, if I have to acknowledge that you are this, I have to acknowledge that she can be this at home.
Yeah. Sure.
And so for me, it starts at home.
It has to be.
For me, it starts at home. It starts with really serious introspection.
It has to.
And honesty with ourselves.
Sure.
Yeah, I struggle.
Yeah.
I struggle to ask my wife for help.
Yeah.
I struggle. I struggle. I mean, I literally have mental mantra, like mental gymnastics in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I have to ask her
for help.
It's not an easy thing for me to do.
Yeah.
And I'll say at the same time also for a lot of women, you have to realize that for a man that stands in his manhood in the way that we're describing, he will not find it easy to come and ask you for help.
For help.
And when he does, be careful how you respond. Watch out,
Because that could crush him.
because that could be that could create something very permanent in your marriage, where he gets that he can never.
Because then it confirms his insecurities that he was fighting before he came to ask for help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then it confirms.
Yeah.
You know, and it confirms, and that's why from that moment forward, it's not just going to be about the money, but you'll see that it'll be a change, even what he shares with you.
Yeah.
Because that moment of vulnerability, like the money issue is probably the biggest vulnerability that men have, purely because it speaks to what you spoke about.
Yeah.
Not being able to provide, to protect, and to perform.
Perform, yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you, as the person that probably I'm doing most of that for, somehow don't see it as valuable,
Sure.
as something that you appreciate.
Yeah. No, I'm done.
You know,
Sure.
it becomes very discouraging.
Yeah.
It becomes very discouraging for a man. I say this to my wife all the time. Listen, Baranchaila, they can all tell me. They can tell me how nice I smell, how amazing I am as a speaker. They can call me global what from the televisions to the podcasts to the radios.
Yeah.
But as long as I haven't heard it from you,
Doesn't mean
it becomes
anything, man.
very, very difficult for it to mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything.
There's a meaning that's missing.
Yeah.
There's a meaning that is missing.
Yeah.
When you don't, when your voice is not part of that.
Yeah. Come on now.
You know? And it's probably the most important meaning.
Out of all of them.
Because you know most of who I am. They only know the performative part of who I am.
Yep.
And I'm curated out there. But here at home, I'm not. So when you say, with everything that I know, I also appreciate this about you.
Sure.
It's the most motivating thing and the most assuring thing I can ever find. And the worst thing that you want is for me to learn to live without that.
Hey. Come on
The
now.
moment I learn to live without your validation,
I'm done.
I don't expect it and I don't need it anymore.
We done.
Ah, man, it's tough. It's going to be hard for us.
Yeah. You done. Sheesh. Brother, maybe let's end it here.
Yeah.
You know, you coach, you mentor, you know, you inspire. 32% of women say that part of the barriers to success is that they don't have networks, they don't have mentorship, they don't have mentors that would, you know, kind of give them the push and the leeway to their success. In closing, how would you speak into that to encourage men to kind of step up? You know, we've kind of said it a bunch of times, but maybe just to leave us with a final call to action for dudes, whether you're in business or you're a husband. Man, how could you coach, mentor? You know, how could you create networks for women to kind of step in, regardless of where it is that they want to succeed? You know, so that there is an opportunity for them to not only dream about what success is, but actually be empowered to succeed.
Look, I mean, I think we don't have a very strong culture as a country of mentorship. I think it's something that we have to cultivate together. I don't really think that is something that's solely the responsibility of either women or men.
Sure.
Mentorship is tough to find even for us as men.
Sure.
You know, let alone for women. So I think that we're going to be very intentional to actually build structures of mentorship.
Yeah.
And I think specific, focused mentorships. You know, there's something that I'm currently working on, which we'll announce at the Beans and Bonds. I'll announce that.
Come on.
But I think that we have to be very intentional because these issues that we're talking, mentorship allows us to tackle them at a much grander scale than just on one-on-one.
Sure.
So for me, there's a group mentorship, there's organizational, there's like, okay, let's talk about organizational mentorship, group mentorship, and individual mentorship. So 3 different levels, right? Organizational, meaning that literally let's set up organizations that mentor people in specific skills and qualities that we want.
Sure.
I think that it's a bit of a mistake if you create a mentorship that tries to cover everything.
Everything, yeah, sure.
Yeah, finances and this and that. If you're gonna create a mentorship that covers finances, yes, maybe include emotional intelligence and mindsets, but all of them are linked to finances,
Yeah.
right? But your biggest focus is that it's
Be
finances.
specific, yeah.
It's being about spiritual development. Yes, spiritual development, but then every other thing that's complementary, like family, relationships, finances, all of it linked to spiritual development.
Yeah.
And making sure that you have highly capable people and competent people that have the heart to be mentors, right? In my mind, I'm thinking, make sure that you test whatever mentorship program you have.
Yeah.
Don't just grab people because they're skilled. Make sure that they've got the right heart, the right character. Make sure that they're not. You're gonna be facing a scandal tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
Because you got the wrong people. And don't just assume because it's a man and then you mentoring boys that it's safe.
Yeah.
It's not as safe anymore.
No, sure.
We've already mentioned the stats of 40%.
Sure.
So, I mean, I would say that
Sure.
mentorship is specific.
Yeah.
Mentorship is you want somebody that has succeeded in what you want to succeed in to mentor you.
Sure.
Don't ask me to come and mentor you about entrepreneurship when I'm struggling as an entrepreneur.
Sure.
Like, what am I mentoring you if you not struggle?
Sure. Yeah. I'm counseling you.
You know, ask somebody to mentor you in marriage that is succeeding, that has succeeded in marriage.
Sure.
You don't want somebody that is like, first year, second year into their marriage, having difficulties and having gone through the third, the fifth, and the seventh, to try and mentor you because they're going through their own struggles.
They need a mentor themselves.
They need a mentor themselves.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I would say. I'd say that a lot of the mentorship that women need is probably more mentorship from other women. Because there are specific challenges that women have overcome that I as a man will never, ever have to overcome.
Sure.
I think that the role as men is to support those mentorship programs.
Yes.
And ask, okay, if you are raising young girls in, let's say, accountancy, you become accountants, and I am an accountant, what sort of platform can I be able to provide? But understand, I can only provide technical skills.
Sure.
But as far as maybe the mindset and the emotional, intelligence around going through that as a woman, only a woman can be able to help with that.
Sure.
Not a man.
Sure.
I can have an understanding of it, but I can never fully be fluent in the struggle.
Yeah.
Because I've not gone through it.
Yeah. Sure.
Myself. And I say, even within the issues of race, I say this all the time. Part of the reason why sometimes, even with counseling, getting counseling for problems that are specific to us as a people and trying to get that from somebody who's a different culture.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it can help you here and there, but it won't give you the full picture.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, Lobola, what is that?
Sure.
Why do you have to help your younger brothers?
Yeah.
They're going to be asking all of those things.
Yeah, sure.
But somebody who knows what that means and why that is crucial can be able to help you navigate the emotional struggle.
Come on, man. Yeah.
The guilt, the shame that comes with being that person who is in that environment and help you to navigate that.
Sure.
And not just like, no, that should not happen.
Yeah.
Just throw boundaries.
Yeah.
Say no.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how to say no.
Yeah,
That's my struggle.
Yeah. Even if I do say no and I know how to, man, some of these people need you. They're gonna die, and that's probably the nuance you're not getting.
And how to reconcile that? How to reconcile that guilt and that shame?
Yeah.
With the fact that my pocket doesn't allow.
Yeah.
But my heart is like, just do it.
Yeah. You have to.
And my faith is like, just trust God and do it.
Yeah. Sure.
In Jesus' name, and go fast, and then maybe God can.
Can do something.
That's what I'm thinking, man.
No, that's good, brother. Man, this was truly extensive. It went to places I didn't think we'd go to, but it's always like a treasure hunt when I chat to you, because there's diamonds, there's gold, there's just all these precious metals that you give us, all these good gems. So we need to circle back to a conversation about burying the man, who has unresolved lusts.
Sure.
That's gonna be another massive one that we need to speak about. But yeah, thanks for this, man. This was really and truly encouraging again. And I always appreciate you being here. So
Thanks for
man.
always inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
I'm
brother.
glad to be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So soldiering on together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
thanks, man. Hey, listen, if you see my face right now, it's because you stuck around till the end of this episode because you want to find out how you can win 5,000 Rand from That Husband podcast and Momentum. Here's how you can do that. And the conversation that we were having, the stats come from a report that Momentum released called Momentum's The Success Women Want 2025 report. Go download that report and share your story with us of the barriers that you've experienced to your own success, whether that's in business, at work, or anywhere else in your life, and leave that comment for us. And together with Momentum, we'll decide which story deserves that 5,000, right? So do that, download the report, leave your story, share your heart with us, and you'll have 5,000 coming your way. Peace.